Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're going over the top 5 quarterbacks in the Baltimore Ravens / Colts history based on analytics. So in this video, we're going to go over every single quarterback who had the best career score. For those that are new to this channel and new to the work that I do, all terms and definitions will be in the description. The data that I'm going to be looking at is essentially it takes a quarterback's single season performance and compares it to a 10-year sample. So in many ways, what this data does is it looks at how these quarterbacks performed in the era in which they played. So that we're not really comparing, a guy that played in the 60s to the 2000s based on raw stats. We're comparing them based on what they looked like compared to their peers in the era in which they played. And with all that stuff out of the way, the career score that I used for this data, if you will, that I'm going to reveal at the end, essentially takes the total QB stat score, which basically takes all the production data, adds it all up, and then compares it to everybody, and then gives a score, which basically just gives like how well their stats were compared to their peers. Again, it's like a general QB stat score, if you will. And the career score basically takes all those scores, adds them together, and then gives a general average for what their average score was during their career. And that's how I came to the data here. So again, if any of that stuff was kind of confusing, don't get me wrong, all you need to know is that I took a bunch of numbers, plugged it into a computer, averaged out some stuff, and then ultimately gave me the list of the top 5 best quarterbacks in Baltimore Ravens / Colts history based on their statistics, essentially. With all that stuff out of the way, let's get to the list. So at number 5, we have Joe Flacco. That's right, Joe Flacco, number 5. When you look at his overall data, it's not been that fantastic over his career, but he still is the 5th best quarterback in many ways, just because he did have some highlights in his career. Particularly 2009 to 2010 were pretty high marks for him. 2012 was above average, and 2014 was above average. So his career has not been amazing by any stretch of the imagination. He's definitely had some really, really bad years, for sure. But Joe Flacco is definitely someone that I think has some interesting potential to kind of maybe go up a little bit. Then, of course, you get to number 4 on this list, which is Vinny Testaverde. Vinny Testaverde only played 2 seasons for the Colts, and his last year was not that amazing, with only a 33.60 total QB stat score, but he did put up an 82.29 in 1996. And in general, just had a good average because of that one single season score. Testaverde is very similar to another quarterback that's on this list, to where a lot of the quarterbacks that the Baltimore Colts / Ravens have as really, really good players are players that typically were only there for like 2 years, and were many players that were like at the end of their career, kind of like Vinny Testaverde in some ways. But overall, Vinny Testaverde just kind of checks here because he had such a good 1996 season. Then, of course, you get to number 3 in this list, which is Earl Morrall, which is, again, a guy I was mentioning, very similar to Vinny Testaverde. Was kind of near the end of his career, but in 1968, he had a 90.96 QB stat score, which is very fantastic. So even though he only played for the Colts for not that long in particular, he did put up a very, very good year in 1968, which definitely kind of contributes to him overall when it comes to his data here. At number 2, we have Burt Jones. Burt Jones didn't have a great start to his career in 1974, but definitely put in a very good year in 1975. And in 1976, Burt Jones had the best statistical season of any quarterback in the NFL that year. When you look at it overall, he had a 98.82 overall score. It kind of fell off a cliff after that point. 1977 kind of dropped in his stats. 1980, not that fantastic. 1981, not that fantastic either, but definitely had a fairly decent career when you look at some of the highs that he had. So he was a fantastic quarterback for a couple of years, and then kind of fell off a bit during that era. And then the number 1 quarterback of the Baltimore Colts, which should not be surprising if you're a Colts fan, Baltimore Colts fan anyways, or at least a Baltimore football fan, is Johnny Unitas, Johnny U. Guy, fantastic career, logged in 3 90-plus percentile seasons, had 3 80-plus percentile seasons as well. Had a couple ups and downs in his career for sure. 1960 kind of dropped a bit. 1961 and 1962 kind of went through a little bit of a rut. And then kind of recovered a bit in 63 to 65, 66, 67, and then 69 to 70 kind of fell down in stats a little bit. But still a fantastic career, and he still remained the best quarterback in that from that kind of perspective. So again, all the data I presented to you today essentially looks at what their data looks like compared to the peers in their era. So when I say Johnny Unitas is the best statistical quarterback, I'm saying he's the best statistical quarterback because he was compared to his peers during the era in which he played. Bottom line is, that's the top 5 quarterbacks of the Colts/Ravens. If you're wondering, like, where are the other quarterbacks? You're right. The Colts and Ravens have not really had that many great quarterbacks. So I hate to say that you should be sad about that. I really don't know. But it definitely is what it is when it comes to this. And then, of course, this is just the general career score for all these players. So again, that essentially is the average for all these players in terms of their career data. So and why I made the list the way it was. So this wasn't me just picking the quarterbacks just randomly. I put all their data together. I gave them a career score based on what they did during their career, and then ultimately came to the list this way. So ultimately, I think this was kind of a fun exercise. It gives you some perspective in terms of how analytics can kind of show up in terms of comparing players from different eras and stuff like that. It's obviously more of an NFL historian type of perspective on the matter. So not the most, a lot of people want to know about what's happening with the Ravens today, not what happened with them in the, well, the Ravens haven't been around that long. But the Colts have been, the Baltimore Colts have been, and it's just kind of a good sort of way to kind of look at the past in many ways. So with all this stuff out of the way, of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Jimmetrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know. Hit that notification button so you're always reminded when another video of mine drops. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video. And by the way, leave a comment below if you want more content like this as well. So if you like this sort of video, if you want to see top 5s at other positions like running back, wide receiver, tight end, mostly skill position players, because that's most of the data that I have right now is skill positions, then just leave a comment below if you want to see that video. And with all this stuff out of the way, peace.